From ABC, this is World News Tonight, with Peter Jennings at the Foreign Desk in London, Max Robinson at the National Desk in Chicago, and from our desk in Washington, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. There was a fire in a county jail in Mississippi early this morning. Within minutes, at least 27 inmates, trapped not by flames but by deadly fumes, had been killed. Other inmates and many guards who tried to save them were injured. Some are still in critical condition tonight. Here is a report from Jay Shadler in Biloxi.
During the night, authorities pulled the bodies of 25 male and 2 female inmates from the Biloxi jail, all killed by smoke inhalation. 46 other people, including inmates, firemen, and several jailers, were taken to local hospitals, and late today, 7 remain in critical condition. One of the injured jailers risked his life by repeatedly entering the prison, searching for survivors. Police have charged 32-year-old inmate Robert Pates with 27 counts of murder. Pates, who police describe as mentally disturbed and who escaped serious injury himself, is believed to have started the fire by igniting the mattress in his cell.
When the jailer then went to the cell to find out why smoke was coming from it, opened the door, there was a flash fire of the padding, and the noxious fumes were picked up by the air conditioning and went throughout the jail.
Within minutes, clouds of polyurethane smoke from the inmate's cell poured through the building, trapping the prisoners in their cells. By morning, the bodies were transferred from a local funeral home to refrigerator trucks to be taken to the University of Mississippi at Jackson to await autopsies. Relatives, some not knowing the fate of their loved ones until hours after the fire, came to nearby hospitals looking for answers. This man's father had been in prison 2 weeks ago on check forging charges.
They won't tell, we don't know nothing if he's dead or alive or what.
Other friends and relatives returned to the jail to learn the news. Public safety officials say their investigation could take several days. They intend to inspect every cell and interview a number of the survivors before drawing any formal conclusions. Jay Shadler, ABC News, Biloxi, Mississippi.
Well, still ahead, automaker John DeLorean pleads innocent to drug charges. Israeli Prime Minister Begin denies he could have foreseen the massacre of Palestinians inside Beirut, and a report on a possible connection between the growing sport of jai alai and a series of gangland-style murders.
ABC's World News Tonight, brought to you by Aetna Life and Casualty.
When you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of extra money for insurance. So Aetna has a whole life policy that starts you out for as little as term.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
Aetna has a policy that fights inflation, too. While prices have gone up, premiums have come down.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
And Aetna group plans give employees medical and life coverage at very low cost.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
Call your Aetna agent. We'd love to meet you.
Do I know Oster? I'd be lost without my Oster Electronic Kitchen Center. It's an all-in-one appliance. Some days I use it for every meal. As an Osterizer blender, mixer, food grinder, salad maker, or dough maker, there's plenty of power for the heaviest jobs, with precise control of every speed. I always get great results with Oster.
The Oster Electronic Kitchen Center, from the makers of the famous Osterizer blender.
Overseas this Monday, the Israeli Prime Minister has been testifying before a commission investigating the massacre of Palestinians in Beirut. The independent commission, which Mr. Begin at first refused to appoint, has now been hearing testimony about the September massacre for almost 3 weeks. Back in September, Mr. Begin said he only learned that right-wing Christians had entered the refugee camps in Beirut when he heard it on the radio. He said again today he never imagined there would be a slaughter. From Jerusalem, ABC's Bill Siemens.
Prime Minister Begin said he was not told that the Christian Phalange troops would be allowed into the Palestinian camps, and that he learned about it at a special cabinet session 1.5 hours after they had gone in, on Thursday, September 16th. When asked whether Defense Minister Sharon should have told him beforehand, Begin was evasive. Begin said Sharon could have assumed that he knew, because the cabinet had decided on June 15th, 3 months before the massacre, to ask the Lebanese forces, including the Phalangists, to move into West Beirut to save Israeli lives. When pressed about the possibility that the Christian troops would seek revenge for Bashir Jamal's assassination just 2 days before they entered the camps, Begin said, "It did not occur to anyone that the phalangists would commit atrocities. But it was pointed out that at the cabinet meeting, Chief of Staff Raphael Eitan predicted an outburst of revenge. Eitan was quoted from the minutes. "It will be an unprecedented outburst. I already see it in their eyes." Begin, "I can only state that none of the ministers saw a red light go on against the background of these remarks." Question, "When did you first find out that something out of line was going on?" Begin, "Saturday evening I listened to the BBC." Begin heard the British radio news report 48 hours after the Phalange troops entered the Palestinian camps. Begin said he had been at synagogue services all day long and that nobody had told him about the massacre. A major fact that emerges from today's testimony is that Prime Minister Begin agreed with Defense Minister Sharon that before the massacre they saw no reason why the Christian Phalange troops should not have been allowed to enter the Palestinian camps. Bill Siemens, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
Elsewhere in the Middle East, the ebb and flow of war in the Persian Gulf. The Iranians, for the first time since the summer, say today their forces have pushed inside Iraq. Iraq admits they are 3 miles inside, but insists that Iraqi counterattacks have halted the overall Iranian offensive. This latest phase of the battle has been going on for about a week, and Iran has recaptured about 200 square miles of its own territory, previously held by the Iraqis. Frank?
ABC News correspondent Bill Greenwood reports tonight that Republican congressional leaders expect to tell President Reagan next week he will have to scale down his request for increased defense spending. There is, of course, no indication that Mr. Reagan shares that view. However, the whole question of defense spending is likely to be influenced by questions now being raised about one of the most expensive projects the Pentagon has. Pentagon correspondent John McWethy has this report.
The F-18, billed as the Navy's aircraft of the future, is in serious trouble as it now approaches the final hurdles before it goes into production. Pentagon and industry sources say that the aircraft failed in a number of crucial ways to pass the Navy's own operational tests, and that the test group recommended the Navy not buy it. Its problems: weight, too heavy. When fully loaded, it had great trouble either landing or taking off from an aircraft carrier without perfect conditions. Range, too short. Its range, when fully loaded, was more than 100 miles short of the Navy's 550-mile goal. Refueling, too slow. Turnaround time to refuel and rearm the aircraft on the deck of a carrier was far slower than the Navy requirement. It was more than an hour for the F-18 compared to 20 minutes for the F-14. Estimated costs of the F-18 program since 1975 have gone from $14 billion to nearly $40 billion. The Navy plans to buy 1,300 of them. Tonight, the Navy refused all comment on the F-18 program, as Pentagon sources were saying that the plane was in big trouble, that people in high places, both here at the Defense Department and on Capitol Hill, want this, the most expensive new weapons program on the books, to be either cut back or killed as a result of these tests. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
And speaking of money, some 10 million Americans will pay up to $221 more next year on Social Security payroll taxes. That announcement was made by the government today. The level of earnings subject to Social Security withholding will be raised from $32,400 to $35,700. One other note from Washington: the Census Bureau now estimates that by the year 2050, the population of the United States will peak at 309 million, compared to 232 million of us now. And the Bureau says the death rate will begin exceeding the birth rate by the year 2035.
Today, take your first step into a bright new world of financial opportunity and security. It begins with Bache, the investment specialist. Now we're part of Prudential, the Rock. Now we're Prudential Bache Securities, yours for stocks and bonds, for a lifetime of investment and financial needs. Call us now. Prudential Bache Securities. Bring us your future.
Bring us your future. Introducing the anti-shock sticker. Instead of shock, this sticker surprises you pleasantly, because at this base sticker price, Colt hatchback imported only for Dodge and Plymouth is one phenomenal value. With a peppy MC8 jet engine, room for 5, front-wheel drive, and high mileage, Colt's the right combination of size, style, and performance. And the anti-shock sticker, only on Colt, a high-tech import, built by Mitsubishi Master Car Builders of Japan, imported only for Dodge and Plymouth.
Good heavens.
Oh, Paul Masson Chablis.
Yes, art lives, even in this room. 130 years ago, Paul Masson had the audacity to make his wine slowly and with the greatest care. This elegant Chablis is proof that at Paul Masson, making wine is an art that has never changed.
Would you believe I did this one in 3 hours?
Yes, I would. Paul Masson will sell no wine before its time.
What could be a major break in the players' ranks in the pro football strike? The New Orleans Saints voted this afternoon 45-1 with one exception to accept in principle the latest contract offer from the football owners. The Saints' assistant players rep, Guido Merkin, said the players have lost control of their union. There's no comment yet from the Players Association President Ed Garvey, and no word as to what effect the New Orleans vote will have on the strike. Automaker John DeLorean was back in a courtroom today, this time to plead innocent to charges of cocaine trafficking and racketeering. Tom Shell reports from Los Angeles.
John DeLorean avoided reporters this morning as he arrived at the federal courthouse. Although he's free on $10 million bail, he was allowed to use a security entrance normally reserved for prisoners. DeLorean's first appearance was before a magistrate where he was read his rights. The case was then assigned to U.S. District Court Judge Robert Takasugi, where DeLorean and co-defendants William Hetrick and Stephen Arrington were arraigned on the charges of conspiracy, possession of, and distribution of cocaine. When asked in turn how they pleaded, each defendant answered, not guilty. On the courthouse steps, DeLorean and his wife, Christina Ferrari, stood quietly as attorney Seth Huffstetler, newest member of his defense team, charged that DeLorean has been a victim of a propaganda campaign by the federal government.
Much of it is half-truths. Some of it is downright false. There's a procedure whereby outrageous conduct by the government can be attacked, and we propose to file the appropriate motions to do so.
The attorney said part of the outrageous conduct is that DeLorean was a victim of entrapment by federal authorities who arranged for him to take possession of 60 pounds of cocaine. The trial is scheduled to begin January 7th, and his attorneys say DeLorean himself is confident that a jury will find him innocent. Tom Shell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
For the past year and a half, investigators have been puzzled by another case involving a prominent corporate executive, the murder of multimillionaire Roger Wheeler in Tulsa. And they seem increasingly willing to say now what was only hinted at then, that the key to Wheeler's death and 2 other gangland-style murders is the profitable and growing sport of jai-alai. Charles Murphy reports.
On May 27, 1981, after a round of golf at Tulsa's prestigious Southern Hills Country Club, Roger Wheeler, a multimillionaire whose diversified holdings included the Telex Corporation and World Jai-alai, was shot to death by unknown assailants.
He was a very controversial person, but a lot of controversial people live a full, healthy life and are not murdered in the parking lot of a country club.
On August 3rd this year, the body of John Callahan, the president of World Jai-alai, until he was forced out because of alleged associations with Boston underworld figures, was found in the trunk of a leased car at the Miami airport.
John was absolutely delightful, a fascinating individual, a real street Irishman. Funny fellow, just a totally fascinating individual. He also obviously had some very strange friends.
One of those friends, Edward Brian Halloran, a convicted felon identified by police as a member of a notorious gang based in the Winter Hill section of Somerville, Massachusetts. He was killed in a barrage of bullets in May of this year. Police have concluded that all 3 were contract killings. No arrests have been made yet. And although the murders took place months and miles apart, investigators have reached one other conclusion.
Our position is at this point that there is some type of connection between the Wheeler homicide, the Halloran homicide, and the Callahan homicide.
The connection you have is through associations all through the World Jai-alai Corporation.
World Jai-alai owns more frontons or arenas than anyone else in the United States, 4 of the nation's 15. It's also the biggest moneymaker, with average wagering of over $1.5 million a day at those frontons. Jai-alai is a game on which people bet and bet heavily. $625 million in the U.S. last year, and it has proved a financial bonanza for the companies which run the business and the 4 states that have legalized it. Last year, Florida got $25 million of the $370 million bet in that state. The big money and tax shelter advantages available in Jai-alai persuaded Wheeler to buy World for $50 million in 1978. But even before Wheeler made the purchase, he received an anonymous letter warning him to back off. If you knew what was going on in this deal behind the scenes, you would not be involved. If I were you, I would get out quick. Signed, One Who Really Cares. Though Wheeler went ahead and bought World Jai-alai, some police speculate he soon discovered that a share of his fronton's daily earnings was being skimmed. That is, illegally diverted from the company into individuals' pockets. Investigators also say that Wheeler began to fear that his life might be in danger and purchased a gun just months before he was murdered. Major Stanley Glantz is directing the Tulsa police investigation into that murder. Why does he think Wheeler was killed?
Well, I can only answer that personally. Well, I feel very strongly it probably had something to do with his business connections with World Jai-alai, and either something he did or would not do, and he was an obstacle in their path to meet their goals, so he was, as they say, eliminated.
Glantz did not elaborate or specify who viewed Wheeler as an obstacle. As part of their investigation into John Callahan's murder, on October 4th, Florida police raided World Jai-alai's Miami headquarters, carting off financial records from 1976, the year Callahan was ousted from World's presidency, to the present. Though there is no evidence that Callahan had any direct ties to World after 1976, the people he had brought into top positions remain with the company, and he remained interested in World Jai-alai, interested enough to make repeated offers to Wheeler for it. According to police, shortly before Brian Halloran was killed in May of this year, he told the FBI he had been offered a contract to kill Wheeler, but had turned it down. The man who reportedly offered him that contract, John Callahan. Though officials of World Jai-alai have repeatedly said that none of these killings was in any way connected with their company, they have refused to be interviewed on camera. 3 days after Wheeler was murdered, a company spokesman did make a statement.
We're still in a state of shock here in Miami. It was a tragic thing, and we are confident that the law enforcement agencies are going to turn up information. There's absolutely no connection to the World of Jai-alai.
Nearly a year and a half after Wheeler's murder, police have not come up with that information. And although they don't rule out other possibilities, the primary focus of their investigation into Wheeler's killing, and now the 2 others, remains World Jai-alai. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Boston.
Hello? Somebody out there? E.T. Video game?
It's coming soon, only from Atari, the video game that lets your family help E.T. get home. But only if there's an Atari video game system at home.
The life and health of a nation are rooted in the life and health of its people. And as America has grown, we've grown with it. We're America's life and health insurance companies. To millions of Americans, an important part of the landscape, a symbol of strength and protection. Always there, always working. And because we're there, Americans today can face their future with greater confidence and security. America's life and health insurance companies, a growing commitment to America's life and health.
Grandpa, he's taking the nuts we picked.
That's because they've got a natural goodness and good taste he just loves.
So he gets a treat for breakfast.
So do we.
Grape nuts.
Like all the Grape Nut cereals, its goodness starts with nature's wheat and barley. And these crunchy nuggets are baked up and toasted for a good nutty taste. No sugar added.
He wants more.
Me too. Grape Nuts, Raisin Grape Nuts Flakes. Good taste. compliments of nature.
What kind of people drink Sanka brand? People like Joe Zabrowski, underwater welder.
I love my coffee, but too much caffeine makes me tense. Down here, I can't afford that. So I drink Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee. In this sea air, hot coffee tastes especially good. And Sanka brand's 100% real coffee. So for me, it's just smart to drink Sanka brand.
Sanka brand, for people who love coffee, but not caffeine.
In other news overseas, it promises to be a difficult week for Poland. On Wednesday, the illegal Solidarity Underground has called for a nationwide strike. Illegal marches are planned for Thursday to mark the country's pre-war Independence Day. And on Saturday, it will be 11 months since martial law was imposed. Today, two major developments. The government announced that one of the underground senior officials has been arrested. Piotr Bednosh and 12 of his colleagues were caught holding a secret meeting at Wrocław in Silesia. And Pope John Paul will be going home to Poland. As ABC's David Ensor reports, the visit planned for June has been announced at a critical moment.
In this deeply religious country, a victory for the church is seen by most Poles as a victory for them, and that is apparently what the government is counting on. The announcement of the Pope's trip after a secret meeting this morning between Poland's Archbishop Joseph Glemp and the nation's martial law leader is a goodwill gesture by the government. It's apparently designed to dampen enthusiasm for the nationwide protest strike and demonstrations, which the outlawed Solidarity Union has called for Wednesday. When the Pope came here in 1979, millions of Poles gathered to see him at outdoor masses. Some here believe the pride he inspired then helped lead to the formation of the Solidarity Union. So by inviting him back again, the government is taking a calculated risk. But if the announcement means less support for this week's planned strikes and demonstrations, then it will be worth that risk to the government. And the announcement about the Pope is only one part of the government's effort to get through this week without a showdown. Workers at the Gdansk shipyards and around the country are being warned they may face dismissal for striking and jail sentences for demonstrating. New rules have been announced designed to cut back on coverage by Western news organizations of any disturbances which might occur. Poles gathered around a flower cross in Warsaw tonight to sing and pray for the Pope to come here and for Solidarity to be freed again. One said, everyone hopes the Pope will come. Another said, it's designed to buy time. I will only believe he's coming when I see him here. David Ensor, ABC News, Warsaw.
The Pope himself had another hectic day in Spain. At Valencia, he ordained 141 priests from throughout the country. Later, he toured the southeastern coast, recently devastated by floods. John Paul's Spanish visit ends tomorrow. In France, it is heavy rain and wind which has killed at least 11 people. The southwestern part of France has been the most severely affected. Dozens of people have been injured. Winds were often as high as 100 miles an hour. And in Geneva today, potentially bad news for airline passengers. The International Air Transport Association announced that its 122-member airlines expect to lose $4 billion by 1984. It could be worse, said IATA's president, unless fares go up and the number of cheap seats go down. Max?
Another story of ups and downs. The third and latest effort by Maxie Anderson to sail around the world in a balloon came to an abrupt end this afternoon. His balloon, the Jules Verne, sprang a leak less than a day after lifting off from South Dakota and was forced to land near Toronto. Jamie Fisk, the 11-month-old girl who received a liver transplant Friday following a nationwide appeal by her father, is reported to be improving and in satisfactory condition today. Doctors at the University of Minnesota Hospital say they hope Jamie can be taken off a respirator soon.
Hey, Ernie! Good to have you back!
Here we come!
Sentry Insurance knows that sometimes it takes more to get an injured worker back on his feet than just footing his medical bills. And Sentry is big enough to do more. Sentry can provide for physical therapy, even job retraining if it's needed, to get a worker back where he belongs.
Ernie, you look terrific.
All's well. With Sentry, you know all's well.
What's the watchword with many Americans today?
Watch your salt.
Right.
The Surgeon General's report says Americans get too much salt. So when you need an antacid, reach for Riopan Plus, a fast-acting antacid low in sodium. So low it's considered sodium-free. Laboratory tests show Riopan Plus worked 4 times faster than the 2 leading liquids. Riopan Plus, fast-acting, low in sodium. So low it's considered sodium-free. Riopan Plus.
Get your family into jeans at Sears Family Jean Sale. Through Saturday, get 25% off tough skins for kids, tough enough to handle their ups and downs. For men, get 25% off fine-fitting thumbs-up jeans or rugged Roebucks. And while quantities last, get Sears' special purchase of comfortable corduroys for women at just $9.99. So hurry to Sears today. To get your family into jeans, you can count on Sears.
Finally tonight, ever since John L. Lewis took charge of the nation's coal miners, the presidency of that union has been sought after and fought over. This year, with 40,000 miners out of work, the battle is hardly less intense between the man who is in and the one who wants his job in tomorrow's election. For that story, national correspondent Barry Serafin.
6:30 a.m. at a coal mine near Clear Creek, West Virginia. United Mine Workers President Sam Church is there campaigning to keep his job.
Morning, brother. How you doing?
Midnight at a coal mine near New Florence, Pennsylvania. Rich Trumka is there campaigning to replace Church.
Appreciate your support.
Church gained the top spot in the union 3 years ago when his predecessor resigned. During last year's 2.5-month coal strike, the first contract he presented to miners was turned down by a 2-to-1 margin. A second contract won easy approval. Church proudly points to a 37.5% increase in wages and benefits. Trumka accuses Church of giving away benefits such as royalties on non-union coal.
I say it's time we've given up our last benefit. I say that the mine workers take no more backward steps.
There should be more militancy in the union. And what does that translate when you talk about militancy in coal miners? Strikes.
The 46-year-old Church describes himself as a hillbilly and does not dispute his reputation for occasionally settling arguments with his fists. But he contends that his years of union experience cannot be matched by Trumka, a 33-year-old miner and lawyer. The union publication, the Mine Workers Journal, is full of ads for both candidates with long lists of charges and countercharges. But it isn't advertising that wins elections in the UMW. To campaign for miners' votes, you have to go to the mines, and both candidates have been doing that around the clock. Church and Trumka have been racing from mine to mine, campaigning in the bathhouses where miners change clothes at the beginning and end of each shift. But many miners still appear uncertain about how they will vote.
You have one man telling you one thing, and you have another man telling you something else. So really, I mean, you know, it's just a toss-up, that's all it is.
However miners vote tomorrow, this bitter campaign is certain to intensify the factionalism that has plagued their union for years. Barry Serafin, ABC News, New Florence, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Barry. Once again, tonight's top story. At least 27 inmates of a county jail in Biloxi, Mississippi were killed early this morning when toxic fumes spread through the jail after an inmate described as mentally disturbed set fire to his padded cell. Later tonight on Nightline, college athletics and the scandal of grade fixing to keep players playing. That's our report for now on World News Tonight. This is Frank Reynolds. For ABC News, good night from Washington.
From ABC, this has been World News Tonight.
Tonight, scrub up with a 9-year-old surgeon on That's Incredible. Then,
What if I told you that I wanted to go to bed with Steve?
it's every parent's fear.
Get in the house.
Who can forget
I just want to make tonight special.
the first time?
Tonight.
Coming up on Channel 2 News at 6, dozens are arrested in a Williamson County drug bust, including the sheriff's son.
Near Murfreesboro, a trio is rescued after spending 6 hours lost in a cave. And American General puts on a hiring freeze at NLT and talks about selling Opryland.
Those stories and more coming up next on Channel 2 News at 6.
If you're going on a diet but are confused by all the new diet plans, on the next PM magazine, discover which diet and fitness program will work best for you.
Then meet the sweethearts of the sidelines, the NFL's sexy cheerleaders, and find out what their job is really like.